Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chat from the Deep, our weekly live stream post-session discussion. We talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 52. So if you've not watched that session yet, please go do that because there will be spoilers. I'm your DM, Eric. And joining me, we have Gottwald's player, Chris.
Hello.
And Max player, Raymond. I forgot to open my candy before I started, so you're going to hear crinkling. I have so much Halloween candy in my house. And I mainly
like
eat... Well, we don't eat a whole lot of...
Or a week out.
Candy.
Yeah. Right.
I only eat it on Friday nights when I'm doing the D&D thing. I help myself.
That's my candy time.
Yeah. Yeah, neither the kids, when they ask for a treat or something, we have like Oreo cookies or something in there, but they're not big straight up candy eaters, I guess.
Right.
This was mainly just this one section, which was the Temple of Tentacles.
Is that what it's called? Temple of Tentacles?
Temple of Tentacles, yes.
Okay.
So this whole area is weirdly designed in the book, which I won't go into all of that. I've discussed it endlessly on the crafting stream, but I'm trying to distill it into like individual locations, I guess. And this is one of the locations, and it's completely optional from what I can tell in the book. It basically only comes up if you guys get like captured somehow. I guess the problem I have with this section is it's acting like the player's like level 3. Like you're having to like worry about the head people, and you're like having to sneak around and do all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, by the time they make it here, the party's like level, in the book it's like 9 or 10. You guys are 11. Like this doesn't translate well. You can't really do the horror village thing, I don't think, at this level for the party. Given that
what do you guys mean? Like how we interact with them?
Yeah, given that you're supposed to be like I guess more of a exploratory role playing thing, but the fact that you're like in danger and that they can like capture you and all these things can happen, and I'm like, they're pretty high level though. I don't think any of these things are gonna happen.
I mean, I that's kind of almost a broader question. Like how in D&D, like in 5e in general, how does us getting captured ever even happen?
Well, this party, it definitely does not happen.
I mean, I feel like any of our parties, no one's gonna I feel like most players would rather die than be captured.
Yeah, we've had that discussion before. I think that's generally the idea, and it's very hard to pull off any of those situations where it's like and when you feel like it's a TPK, you could tell the whole party, just like the whole player base is like just starts checking out. But anyway, that's what this basically section was just like this optional location that doesn't really have any strangely significance in the main plot. It's just, hey, this is a location that the party can be, this is where the Kraken priests meet up at, and if the players get captured, they're brought here and like killed or something. So I added another event, or sorry, I combined an event that is in the book, which is the fact that there's a mind flayer here that's infiltrated the group, and they are, you see that's just one of the scenes, like the scene you guys just came upon at the end of the session. One of the scenes you come upon is like them having another person, and they're like doing a sacrificial ritual and like dumping them down a pit or something. So I combined that with this area, and then obviously worked in the story of like, okay, the mind flayer is the head priest, and all the priests are like enthralled in the colony, and I basically tried to insert more of the actual mind flayer part of the plot into this village, and then include the pit right here, and then turn that into the actual ritual that was happening. So I expected there to be a kind of a priest off with Toril, which I like that he came out swinging with the RP, and I was going to flavor that as like, if he had not done that, or if he'd done a really bad job at the charisma contested check, there would be more people turning into deep scions, and they would be, or maybe more of the commoner, or not the commoner, the tribal warriors stat block actually attacking you guys because they would just see you as a threat. Versus instead what happened is basically they all backed off, and you only had to fight the 2 scions. And even then I waited a whole nother round to add them in there. You guys kicked a lot of ass in this fight. It was
a lot of it was just dice, though. A lot of it was dice. It was just dice weren't aiding you.
Which Matt grabbing the staff, obviously great plan there. I was not planning on it, but you could. I had a trigger, which obviously you guys saw, which is when the staff goes away, that triggers his like phase 2 boss fight, which turns into full on mind flare mode, and then gains access to mind flare powers. I was hoping I would not have to do that in the very first round, but I appreciated that you were able to activate. That you immediately saw the threat and saw like, okay, I need to go grab.
But he also put the work in. Like he used like an invisibility ability, and he like crawled on the wall.
Yeah,
like
used a full action to do it. Yeah, which I did not. And to be fair, I didn't recall that you could just turn invisible on a whim like that. It was pretty crazy.
My last level up.
Nice. Oh, okay. So it's a new feature. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
we did miss in chat.
I think the staff would have been worse, though, right?
Sorry,
I don't know. I think the staff would have been worse.
Oh yeah. Well, you saw. I mean, when I shared it to Heather,
if he had left it,
it adds like a million.
Fireballs its own people, though.
No, what I would have done. So I'll go ahead and tell you. I would have conjured an elemental first, because even if he loses concentration, the elemental stays and it just starts wreaking havoc. So that just adds a whole other creature onto the battlefield. So turn 1 was conjure elemental. If I still had the staff in
didn't even get to do that.
I didn't get to do that. In turn 2, maybe like a lightning bolt, because that's less AoE damage.
Yeah.
But I was cognizant of the fact that while he's disguised as Ingramar, he doesn't want to necessarily just murder the other people and still try to keep up with it. So yeah, a lot of the big AoEs probably would not have used as much.
Can you tell us now if Ingramar was a mind flayer, or if a mind flayer took Ingramar's body, or what that situation was, or is that still a mystery? Okay, it's still a mystery. Okay.
Yeah, it's still kind of a mystery.
Okay.
But I did explain through Frannis that I'm trying to do the timeline which obviously sometimes has elapsed throughout the campaign, but like all the weird things happen to have happened whenever the Mind Flayers got here, basically, which you guys have kind of tracked. Like you saw the ship, they crashed and that whole timing. So that's where I was trying to think of the timing of like, when has this started happening? It couldn't have been happening for like years or something. It's more like weeks.
Yeah.
That these changes are happening. And that was through Frannis. You were able to learn that that's when everybody started acting more strange. So
okay.
Yeah, clearly it wasn't like this was always this person. That must have been some kind of snatch and
right
transform job or kill and become, like, you're not quite sure how that whole process works, but only in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, so I didn't get to use any of those abilities, which was a bummer. I did forget at the end of the chat, I didn't even see it, somebody said that whenever I think Toril got stunned the second time, that should have actually turned off the tentacles that he had, because being stunned removes your concentration. So
true, but can't he just bring those back as a bonus action? I'm not sure that would have actually.
No, it's a full spell slot for him to cast.
Is it?
The tentacle? Okay. I think. I know, and that's an ability that he can just cast. I don't actually know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I don't know if he gets like a free cast of that or something, but I know that's normally a spell slot ability, but I guess I can't speak to his specific things. Okay. But no, his bonus action is his single spectral tentacle is the one that does the slap. But yeah, that.
Oh, you meant his Everards.
The Everard, the thing that was actually restraining everybody and keeping them doing damage. Yeah, that
right.
One.
Yes.
So I did miss that. Of course, I also used Mind Blast as like a legendary action, which I didn't have in his stat block, but I was like, fuck it, we're doing this because you guys are kicking my ass, so I'm trying to rebalance things a little bit. This is the only
course correct a little
that's like the only thing that's put the fear of the fathomless in all of you.
For sure.
So that big Mind Blast goes off. It's funny when I look at this, I'm like, oh, this is a really hard fight. Like, because you got like 3 Kraken priests that have all these damaging abilities, and then obviously the hidden Mind Flayer has all these fucking spells that we can cast, and then all of a sudden it just immediately goes to shit.
Those kind of fights are funny because it very much is like if the enemies get off their thing, it's a incredibly hard fight, but if the enemies don't get off their thing, then it becomes like kind of a wash, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, it just comes down to the dice. Like I didn't get off hardly any. I don't think any attacks with the Kraken Priest at all, except when Frannis attacked the Scion, and then you saw he was doing like 30 damage a hit.
Yeah,
because that's what I was thinking. I was like, God, these things do so much damage if they can hit.
And they never did.
No,
that's just the dice. Like that was just a luck. Yeah.
And I think I tried to attack each and every one of you, and like none of them hit. Except the one time I did hit was when that first Scion transformed and attacked Mac. That one hit on all 3 of its attacks.
Oh, right, yeah.
That was like the only time. And then the Mind Flayer doing his Mind Blast thing.
Yes. Mind Blast was the scariest thing of everything.
Yep.
Players don't want to get stunned. Like that like
no, and scary. I even pointed out in the stream that I don't like it either, so I even tweaked that ability to say, hey, if you fail to save, it's only for the one turn, and then you get over it.
What is it otherwise?
You keep on making the save at the end of your turn.
Oh, right.
Like a lot of those effects.
I feel like we talked about this, and this is like you legit like reacting to like the one time that like we almost TPK'd, because that was a similar thing where it was like you'd have to make the save, and none of us can make the save. Yeah. Like none of us were ever going to make the save.
Right.
So we were just stun liked in infinitum. Yeah.
Right. Like Baldur's Gate 3 kind of solves that by saying like all those effects last 2 turns and that's it. It like averages it out. So I don't know if the next edition changes that or something, but that is a complaint I have even as a DM who gets his ass kicked regularly. I don't like abilities that are like, hey, this is an ongoing effect that affects the player, that is a possibility for them to lose their turn, and they have to deal with it every single turn. And there's other creatures that sort of have a similar deal, like a Gibbering Mouther or something, where it's also like an ongoing effect that you have to make a save against every time. But at least like the confusion effect, you have a chance to roll a dice and do something with your turn. But yeah, with stun, I mean, if you have like you guys having a +1 or +0, it's not out of the question that you would be literally stun locked the entire time. And I don't think it's even an ability that the Mind Flayer even has to concentrate on. Like it's not even like you can break concentration. It's literally just this psychic Mind Blast attack. Yeah. It's real nasty.
That is nasty.
So I figure like losing a turn is bad enough, and this is a giant AoE, so I made that balance change just on their stat block and said, all right, he can do this ability, it's the same distance, same damage, but now the stun effect only lasts for 1 turn.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good compromise. It really is, because like otherwise, yeah, intelligence saving throws, you would have just fucking locked a few of us down like the entire fight.
I mean, I did want this character to be scary and use some psychic ability, and I thought, you know, it deserves to use its Mind Blast, but that and I like the stun effect as a thing, but like I said, it just and I the one thing is, you know, if I was kicking ass, I probably wouldn't Mind Blast again, for example. But because it was the opposite, and I was like, all right, we're fucking recharging.
Like,
I'm getting that Mind Blast off again.
Exactly.
So that's one reason I can rebalance
it's
a little bit too.
They're doing too good. I got to pull like some other bullshit ability out.
Yep.
They can do this now.
Which this was the first fight after a long rest, so I did expect you guys to.
And it's also it's our first fight at a new level, so we were like showing off our new shit.
I felt bad from a battle standpoint where I'm like obviously it sucks for me as a DM because I want to have fun too, but it just sucks that like, oh, we like this fight is almost meaningless. Like if nothing is happening damage wise and you guys are spending barely any resources, like Sabra twice just used a cantrip. Like I was like, man.
I feel like we started off using some ability, like we use some resources at least in the beginning.
Yeah, Toril I feel like doesn't count because his short rest spells come back pretty quickly. Yeah, and yours come back on a short rest. I guess it's mainly Savra's spells, and if Mac has to use spells,
and then hit points, which we didn't lose any hit points.
Yeah, the only like literally nobody except for Mac at the very one moment where the Scion attacked him. I was like, thank goodness. And then I guess you and Toril both lost.
You took away 69 of my hit points.
That's nice. Pretty good. That's a lot.
That one guy that did the triple attack, and then I kept getting hit by that cone.
Mind Blast,
Stuns.
Us being in that hallway in the beginning ended up being very bad. Like we were just getting hit by all the AoE shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not really complaining, but all I really did this whole night was steal the staff.
Take the staff, yeah.
But it turns out that was really important.
That's true, I guess, because you get stunned twice after you get the staff.
I did.
Yeah.
As soon as I come out of it, it was his turn next, and then he would just stun me again. Oh no, legendary action or whatever. But I couldn't break that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the risk of like standing right next to him and taking the staff as you took his full
running
ire.
Up to the boss. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would have been fucking crazy if you literally were like, I take it and smash it. I would have been like, okay. It happens to have an entire crazy bananas effect if you do that.
That would have been.
You didn't know that.
Mm-mm.
I would have looked at that and then absolutely triggered that ability, I think, because I've been like, fuck, he just took the staff. This is happening.
Then this whole campaign could have got another 4 sessions where we have to go to some other plane of existence to rescue.
I don't even know how. Yeah, it's a 50% chance. So I guess you just roll.
Yeah.
And then you end up going to another plane of existence. How does that even, like, what the fuck?
Well, with those stats, half of us would go and half would not.
I think it's only. Well, I have to read it. I think it's only the person who does it. Yeah, the person who breaks has a chance of getting shunted away. If you had done that, I would have put you into a thing that I cut, which was the Merid. Before teleporting, you had a side quest I was going to do where you have to go to the elemental plane of water and get some information from it. You go to this like bar with all these sea creatures in it. I would have had you teleport to that. And, like, you would have had this whole like side adventure.
That's a good like DM like reusing assets that like you have.
Just be like panicking and be like,
Yep.
I don't know how the rest of the party would be there, but that would have been just absolutely insane. Oh my gosh. I would have been flabbergasted if you had done that just because it has that effect. And then it has like this giant explosion that does all kinds of damage, and that staff was basically full of charges, so it would have done some serious
destroyed
shit.
The whole room. Yeah,
basically just a giant explosion.
Poor Francis would have died.
I know. So that was a worry that I did have, was, which I wasn't too worried because you guys are pretty good, and obviously as soon as the fight happened, they would be less concerned about throwing him down the hole more because they were fighting you guys. But if somehow he ends up getting thrown down the pit, I was like, fuck, a lot of my information exposition comes from this NPC.
Right, because our next stop was all from him.
Yes.
Like, how would you have conveyed that without him?
Yeah, I think it would have had to been another just stupid psychic vision from the Mind Flayer's death, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, you didn't leave anybody alive.
Right, like the psychic vision to along the coast to wherever we're going.
Which is such a bullshit maneuver, but it's my backup plan. You guys keep not interrogating people and killing them. But yeah, I put a lot of information exposition on that one dude, which is kind of in the book. He's actually, in the book, he's like the king of the area.
Oh.
But his functionality is the same, where he's like afraid of what's going on here. The only difference is he's trying to like flee the area whenever you guys get here. Like at night, he's like, I'm getting out of here or something, and then he's captured by the Mind Flayer, and you guys have to like rescue him, and I don't know. I just changed his situation, I guess.
Okay.
But making him actually one of the priesthood, and it's more of like, oh no, I think my dudes are, have all been changed somehow, and kind of add to the creepy Mind Flayer aspect of it. It was also my plan to not have him accompany you, conveniently, because he's a very strong stat block, but story-wise... It made sense here because we nuked all the other priests and somebody needs to stay behind.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But I appreciated Toril saying a few things. I was hoping with this whole situation, this would be a good avenue for Toril's character arc, because it's like, oh, we finally actually made it to the.
It's almost like like corrupted versions of the Fathomless religion versus Toril as like the pure version where he's like trying to actually,
which is still Francis too. I mean, he's still,
that's true. Yeah,
kind of a similar light. So
even though, I mean, here's what I enjoyed. I don't know if anybody else, because I was so invested in my own campaign, nobody else really likes this as much as I do. But I really enjoyed how much the connection between the Storm King's Thunder campaign and this one, where like the Kraken Society is like a thing, right? Like they've got their own, organization and structure, and it's being corrupted by Mind Flayers now, it seems like. But that's why I kept it like, well, we're trying to save them. They're not necessarily good guys. The Kraken Society in general aren't great.
Right.
But they're better than the Mind Flayers controlling the Kraken.
Yes, which I think is an interesting pull here that I was really doubling. And I think is the main idea of the campaign, obviously. But I really... The book campaign does a weird thing where it doesn't quite interweave the Kraken Society in with the rest of the plot. And I thought, well, this is the thing that makes the most sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my voice leaving me. Where it's like, it makes sense that I don't want to get too into it because we're not quite at the end, but you're figuring it out where the Mind Flayers, if they were able to somehow gain control of, the Fathomless and then gain control of the hierarchy, then you've got an instant built-in, army or faction or something, basically followers, without having to do any other work. So, and then they could make other alliances like with the Black Armada and with the Sahuagin and stuff, and use that influence and everything to instantly get all that power. So yeah, that was kind of the overall flow of the campaign, and now you guys have tracked that all the way to what looks to be like literally the lair of the Kraken himself.
Yeah. Because like I mean, going back to the Storm King's Thunder campaign, like the Kraken's not a good guy. Like he is genuinely a villain.
Yeah.
Like if I remember correctly, the whole party's interaction with him in Storm King's Thunder was he was sort of behind the plot to capture the
Storm Giant.
Storm King.
Yeah.
The Storm Giant King.
Yeah.
And the only interaction with him was when you guys freed the Storm King. And he crushed the boat you were in, and you just got the fuck out of there. So you never really saw or fought him or anything, but it was just sort of So he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
But it's like,
right. But yeah, it's interesting where it's like you could take this.
It almost reminds me of Linus from Lost. Was that his name? Like he's a villain for the first half of the series.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, well, he's still a villain, but now you have to work with him.
You have to work with him because there's worse things out there, right?
Right.
Which is kind of what this is, yeah. And the Brandon's not apologizing for any of their stuff or anything here, but it's like, yeah, this is a serious problem when this faction has been taken over by this extremely ambitious, even more evil and powerful faction, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we are, like I said, we've been in the end game now since basically arriving at the Tentrix layer, and we're just kind of keep going along that stuff, but definitely got some more content left, and I've kind of teased about this whole other area that you guys might be coming into as well.
The only thing I thought as a little addendum is that like when Ray did the disarm thing, I was like, oh man, that's cool. I like that he did it, but I was like, man, what kind of an asshole would we call the DM if he ever tried to do that to us? Because you could absolutely have some big old beefy dude just come up and rip the fucking weapons out of our hands.
Yeah.
But that would be so we would be so upset.
It kind of reminds me of what I did the last night in our Patreon game, in the Patreon game where Chris was a guest star in it, but I didn't rip it out of somebody's hands, but I definitely attacked somebody's like familiar who was holding a magic item, and then I took that item and yeeted it down a chasm.
Yeah.
I was like, take that for brazenly like putting your item around.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was thinking about like Heather holding her spell book. I was like, oh yeah, someone could technically, I suppose, just grab that spell book out of her hands and be like, nope, bye.
Yeah, it's something to think about, I guess, in terms of making it a little more dynamic and interesting than just attacking and dealing damage each time.
Yeah,
it's not something I normally think of, but it's interesting if somebody was specifically. I wouldn't know about a weapon, but definitely if somebody was holding like a wand or some kind of a magic thing that was doing an effect, and then having somebody come up and specifically try to grab that item.
Yep.
But yeah, players would lose their minds. It's pretty funny.
I feel like you should do it, but I also feel like a player would be like upset if you did it.
Yeah. Like, how dare you? And the interesting thing is a lot of those items have attunement, so you wouldn't necessarily be able to use it, but just being able to take it away from the player.
Take it away, right.
Yeah, and then force the players to respond to that. That is pretty interesting, yeah.
I saw somebody in the chat commented that like disarm as a function is either overpowered at later levels. I forget what the comment was, but in 2024 rules they've sort of evened it out, so the disarm's not quite as insane.
Well, I thought disarm wasn't ever good because people could just pick their shit up as like a free action or something. That's why nobody used disarm.
I think the logic would be that like you disarm someone
and you freely pick it up
as you freely pick it up and throw it in a pit or pocket it, put it in your back or something.
Yeah, and they don't have a weapon anymore. I can imagine that'd be a whole thing. A player if they were really like getting in the weeds of the mechanics, like all right, every time I'm going to attack, I'm going to disarm somebody, and then they lose their weapon, and the DM's just like. Shocked Pikachu face.
Now do I have to put unarmed strikes into my character sheet for these NPCs?
Well,
that's not here.
Yeah, I feel like
Demnix, I feel like that actually did happen I think I did it in the Tomb of Annihilation campaign. Heat Metal. and then just
Mhm.
fucking just eat the not the catapult spell, but like just
That's a
throw
nasty
the
one that makes them want to drop
yeah.
it or something. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel like the Fallout stuff had the best version of that, which is you had to make like the targeted strikes at certain body parts, and you always had like a lower percentage, but you could do things like disarm, lost the weapon, or you would like cripple a leg, and then they couldn't move as fast or something. That would be a neat mechanic to try to explore in D&D, but I don't know how you.
D&D's got
targeted strikes.
It doesn't do percentages. It just does
Right.
advantage or disadvantage.
Right.
It just be like you have disadvantage to try to do the thing, and that's basically all you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best way to mechanically do that is like take the Battle Master Fighter and just have those certain abilities that like, yep, this, or the Weapon Mastery for the new edition of D&D, where it's like, yep, do this attack, and that like slows them down by 10 feet. And that's like you, crippling their leg for briefly or something.
Yeah.
Anything else about Session 52, which was mainly this, which I kind of expected this to be a big fight, bit of a mini boss fight, I guess. The priests all have like 80 hit points. The boss, Mind Flayer, at 125. Science about 60. You guys just cleave through everything pretty handily.
It didn't feel like I mean, it was a fun fight.
Yeah.
Despite us kicking ass, like really kicking ass.
Really kicking
ass. It still felt fun and like dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a just trying to drain those resources on your way to
right. Yeah.
Until you got to take that long rest. All right, I think that will do it for this week's Chat from the Deep. Thank you to Chris and Raymond. Thank you to all the Wonder fans for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.